we have somebody who can fill us in a little bit on Todd Blanche himself
Oh, that's
a-
right.
and what is going on there, and kind of roll into other news, maybe with the SPLC, etc. Do you want to do a little introduction on Jonathan Gross? He's been
Oh,
on the
Jonathan
channel
Gross,
before.
I will, off the top of my head, a former rabbi who converted to a lawyer. He didn't convert religions, but he gave up his shul and synagogue, which I think was in the middle of the Midwest
Nebraska,
somewhere,
right?
in the middle of Nebraska. I think there's a movie with Gene Wilder based on this, of about a cantor or a rabbi who goes out west, which you can look up as a comedy movie with Gene Wilder. But this guy actually did it, and Jonathan went out and became a lawyer, and gave up his congregation at that shul to become a lawyer, and then was apparently the only one with the chutzpah, and I say the word chutzpah, to offer to defend the January 6th political prisoners who were rotting in the gulag of the DC jail in not one of the most egregious civil rights violations in American history. Really? The most? Yes, bigger than the Japanese, where FDR had them in internment camps playing softball. Yes, I believe it was bigger than that. I believe it was bigger than the McCarthy scare and the 10 people who were sent to jail for being communists. Yes, I think it's bigger than that. When you put all these people into the gulag without trials for over a year, and the only one willing to defend them um, for numerous reasons is our guest coming up now, Jonathan Gross, who had the chutzpah to do this. Everybody else was scared off, scared shitless, blocked by the DC bar, a million other reasons. But this man, one random rabbi with a dream, came into that gulag and began defending them. So we'll
I'll
bring
leave
him
it
on.
right there with random rabbi with a dream, Jonathan Gross.
Can
I
you
hope
hear
you
me,
like
by the
that
way?
introduction, Gross. I hope you like that.
I have to say, hands down, that was the best introduction that I've ever received, ever.
Well, was I wrong? I think I was correct
No,
there.
every word was right. Every word. So, okay, first of all, I got so much to say just based on your
Go
introduction.
ahead,
First of all,
Bubby. Go ahead.
I,
Go ahead.
I'm going to say, first of all, you're the first person who has the guts to say that it was the worst in American history, worse than the Japanese, because
Yes. Yeah.
that's what people bring up. But
Yes.
you're absolutely right.
Not even
And
close.
yes, I mean, if Japanese was bad, there's no question about it. So if you don't like the Japanese, you'll hate J6. That's number one.
Well, how was
Number
the
two,
J6 softball team, Jonathan?
yeah, right,
How
exactly.
good
Oh,
did
yeah,
they
yeah,
play? Tell me about their sushi that they
right,
had.
exactly, exactly. But so what I want to say though is that I don't know if you know this, but um, did you ever read the NPR hit piece on me?
No, I
Did
did
I
not.
ever send that to you?
No.
NPR did a hit piece on me.
Mhm.
Okay, when I was in when I was in the government, they learned I was in the government. They learned I was in the weaponization working group, which, by the way, it's still a mystery how they learned that because I didn't tell anyone. And I told the people in DOJ, I said, I think that somebody's getting information on the outside, and
Well,
they reported me.
let's just back up for a second and tell the audience how you got involved with the J6ers. Let's go back a little bit in
Oh,
time.
okay, fine, because I definitely wanted to. I just let me
Yeah,
finish
we will.
the
We'll get to
NPR
that.
hit
We'll
piece.
get to that.
Okay, fine. So my story is I was a rabbi, and then I left the rabbi business and I became an attorney, and I was doing civil rights, um, civil litigation. I was suing the evil government. I never practiced criminal law, and when I saw what was going on with the J6ers, my wife and I were sitting around and we said, "Why isn't anybody doing anything?" And she said these famous words that she has lived to regret: "You have to do something." So
Aye.
she hates that story now. But so I quit my job and I tried to help as many J6ers as I possibly could. I kept saying no more, no more, but they kept calling me because, as you said, there was
Yeah.
nobody representing these people.
Nobody.
No one.
No one.
And there were all kinds of famous attorneys who were way better than me, who were far wealthier than me, who had made their money, who had made their careers, who had nothing to lose, and they just wouldn't touch these people. And but I did it. You're right. And there were a few really brave people. Others I was honored to work alongside. Others who were unbelievable legal warriors. And I was honored, frankly, to represent some of the most unbelievable people who were some of these, grandmothers, senior citizens, who I represented the toughest ones, the ones who said, I am not going to plea. I want you to fight like hell. I know we're going to lose, but make them bleed.
Right.
And
Oh my God.
those
Wow.
are my clients.
Wow. You gotta
And
like that. I heard Mark
yeah,
Halperin this morning
uh,
talking
yeah,
about the pardoning of the J6ers as being one of the most egregious things that the left complains about. It's insane. Absolutely
it's
insane.
insane. It's insane. And not only that, everything was so egregious because I'll just give you an example
Right.
of just some of the grandmothers who the prosecutors and the judges said, the judge said, in one of my grandma cases, she would not bow. Her name is Cindy Young. She wrote a book. It's on Amazon called Unbowed about her thing.
Right.
She said, I will not plead no matter what. And she was
Right on.
she was not a young lady, but she was a tough lady. And the judge was so upset at sentencing. He was like, why can't you just apologize? Why can't you just, if you did, I would have given you probation. Instead, he sentenced her for walking into the building and walking out. He sentenced her to 4 months in federal prison. These sons of guys.
Yeah.
And and it was egregious, really. So they're like, I mean, I don't want to hear it, but
Yeah. Well,
so
what were the
let me tell you.
conditions? What were the conditions? Tell people at home what the conditions were in that DC gulag,
Oh,
as you
let
recall
me.
it.
I'm at my computer,
Go
so let
ahead.
me see if
Go
I can
ahead.
pull up very
I will
quickly
pull up,
what.
the Halprin piece too while you're looking if you
Yeah,
want.
just throw this Halpern
Okay,
thing in there
fine.
for a
I'll just
second.
pull up
Go ahead.
very quickly. Hold on, let me plug in my thing. Basically, what happened was in 2021, in October, November of 2021, Marjorie Taylor Greene and a few other congressmen, but really led by her, to her credit, whatever everybody wants to say,
Mm,
she went there down to the DC Gulag to draw attention to the case. And it caused a great stir up. So the marshals were embarrassed. You see, when you're pre-trial, all these people were held pre-trial. So when
Pre-trial.
you're pre-trial, you're in the custody of the United States Marshals. You're not in the
Right.
custody of the Bureau of Prisons. So, and they're not in federal prisons. They're usually in local places like the DC jail, which is a local jail.
Right.
So what happened was, because Marjorie Taylor Greene went to the jail and it was all of a sudden being reported how horrible this was, and they blocked her from access to the jail. So the marshals, they said, okay, fine, I guess we'll have to take a look at this, right? So
Mm,
the marshals took a look at it. Here it is. And they produced a report. I'm going to read you some of the conditions that the marshals experienced.
please.
Okay. This is what
Please.
they saw. All right.
Please.
They wrote this report. You can find it on the internet, November 1st, 2021, memorandum to Quincy Booth, the director of the District of Columbia jail, the DC jail. And it's from Lamont Ruffin, who was the acting United States Marshal in the District of Columbia. And he said, we found egregious, this is what we found, these systemic failures. And I'm going to read you what they found. Water and food appeared to be withheld from detainees for punitive reasons,
In the United States.
meaning
You're talking
this
about
is
the
the
United
United
States.
States
Okay.
pre-trial.
Pre-trial.
Pre-trial. You tell me if
So
this is
they're
one of the.
innocent. They haven't even been charged
They
with the
haven't
crimes.
even been. And by the way, some of them, like Lisa Eisenstadt, she was there for misdemeanors,
Yeah.
basically, with that stupid 1512 charge,
Right.
and they're all being held there
One thing about
pre-trial.
the misdemeanor, I just want to jump on that for a second because last time I checked, a misdemeanor's maximum sentence is 1 year.
Yeah, but they supercharged the misdemeanors. They charged them with a 20-year felony for obstructing an official proceeding. So you trespassed, but you trespassed at the wrong time on the wrong day. So
Yeah.
now instead of a $50 ticket, you get a 20-year sentence. And you could be held pre-trial because you tore the fabric of democracy. How
Right.
dare
Right.
you?
It's in the
So
book, the Fabric of
the
Democracy clause.
fabric of democracy.
Which
Show me
it
this
could be made
fabric
out
of
of wool, it
democracy.
could be a schmata
Yes.
that they found at J.C. Penney. It could have been a pair of pants that they tore, Jonathan.
No, it was the fabric
The
of
fabric of
democracy.
democracy. My grandmother used to use a sewing machine on Mott Street, sewing the fabric of democracy in 1921.
So think about this. They're American citizens held in this gulag. By the way, they were taken from all over the country. So you're ripped away from Arkansas, from California, from Oklahoma, and they throw you in this gulag. And then they punish you by withholding food and
Yeah.
water. That's what the U.S. Marshals wrote in their report. Next. It gets worse, by the way.
Yeah,
That's the okay. Inspectors observed large amounts of standing human sewage (parentheses urine and feces) in the toilets of multiple occupied cells. The smell of urine and feces was overpowering in many locations. Now, think about that. You're in a little box of a cell with another person, and the toilet is not in another room. It's smack in the middle of your little living space, and it doesn't flush. And it's overflowed, and there's all of your feces are floating in it. They found that.
This is
Next.
in the United States Capitol, Washington,
This
D.C.?
is a mile away from
The
the
White House.
Capitol.
The White
Yeah,
House.
exactly, from the
DCJ,
White
right?
House.
Yeah, this is the D.C.
Exactly.
jail where they also put
And
the
by the way,
Watergate. Go ahead.
and this was while while the Republicans were in charge
Right,
of Congress.
right.
Okay,
And the White
so
House.
and by the way, I got to tell you, it wasn't just J6 who were in the DC Gulag. Hundreds of just regular people are there, most of them black.
Well, all
And
of these were reported in the memoirs of the Watergate burglars who were also put in there under federal awaiting trial.
right, and that's in like the
And they
70s,
described the
right?
same conditions in 1972.
Exactly right. So listen more. The water, but this is the U.S. Marshals. I mean, this is really,
Yeah.
this isn't just a prisoner grieving. The water in many of the cells within South 1 and North 2 had been shut off for days, inhibiting detainees from drinking water, washing hands, or flushing toilets. Now, I'm going to stop right here to say something else, which is crazy. And I heard this from the guys inside.
Yeah.
After Marjorie Taylor Greene came, they blocked her. They let her come into like limited areas, but then they really ultimately didn't let her come. But what ended up happening was the marshals were coming. And now the marshals are responsible for this. I mean, they're the ones who were putting all these people there for
Yeah.
years,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the marshals came, and what they did was that they told the jail. So there were two units, CDF and CTF, whatever that means. So they moved all the people out of CDF and put them into CTF. They let the marshals into CDF. And then at the same time, they blocked them, or the marshals, I think there was, in my opinion, possibly some collusion going on, but the marshals didn't go into the other unit. Then they gave all of the J6ers like cleaning supplies, like bleach and everything. And they said, clean this place up like crazy. And they were all put to work to clean up the other place as best they could before the marshals came in. So you have to understand, all of these
Didn't the
findings.
Nazis do this with the camps when the Red Cross was visiting in
Remind me that you
1942?
said that when I tell you later what I was going to say about NPR. But anyway, so what happened was, so this report is after they had notice and they did their best job to clean it up.
Oh my
This is
God.
after the cleanup
Oh
job.
my God.
So let me tell you, I mean, it's crazy. Next, DOC staff confirmed to inspectors that water to cells is routinely shut off for punitive reasons.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, talking back to the CO, to the
Where was
corrections
Alan
officer?
Dershowitz
Sorry,
during this?
turning off the water.
Where was William Kunstler and Alan Dershowitz and
Uh,
all of the civil rights attorneys of the ACLU, Jonathan?
let's go more. Food delivery and storage is inconsistent with industry standards. Hot meals were observed served cold and congealed. Jail, I'm going to go quickly because like it
Go ahead.
gets worse and worse, but I want to read the whole thing to your
Yeah,
audience.
yeah.
Jail entrance screening procedures were inconsistent and sloppy. Evidence of drug use was pervasive, and
Wow.
marijuana smoke and odor were widespread. And
What?
the facility had a strong smoke and odor of marijuana. Now, I've been
Wow.
told, by the way, that they were being kind because there's also fentanyl in these
Right.
cells. Now, where do you think this stuff is coming from? You think
From
that
the
the
guard,
inmates,
from the guards from the
course,
outside world.
of course. Um,
Was there a
detain-
Sergeant Schultz there who said, "I see nothing"?
that I don't know about. Is that? Oh, is
Okay.
that? Too many references. You're too smart.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. But go on. Go on with your
Okay.
go on with your
Yeah.
report, Rabbi.
This is crazy. Okay. Detainees had observable injuries with no corresponding medical or incident reports available to inspectors. Meaning they saw people injured and they said, "How did this guy get injured?" Like, oh. So DOC staff were observed antagonizing detainees. They couldn't help themselves in front of the marshals. They couldn't stop while the marshals were there. Can you imagine what goes on when the
When they're
marshals are
not
not
there,
there?
when they're not
Well,
there.
here's the worst. This one everybody should have gotten the death penalty for. DOC staff were observed not following COVID-19 mitigation protocols.
Oh my God, that's insane. Yeah, in a gulag? That's outrageous. That's honey, get me Solzhenitsyn on the phone, please. Solzhenitsyn, the numbers on the files. Oh my God. Okay, so obviously these people lived in
Oh, hold on.
Go ahead.
This is
Got
the
one
best.
more.
Several DOC staff were observed directing detainees to not cooperate with UMSMS dismiss. One DOC staffer was observed telling a detainee to, quote, stop snitching.
Don't
So,
be a
in other words,
snitch. Snitches get stitches.
but the guards were the people in the prison were like, "Oh my gosh, this place is a hell," and they said in front of the marshals, "Stop snitching." Now, I just want to point this out: the people in the prison committed alleged crimes that
Yes.
were far less
Yes.
than a person obstructing the marshals during an investigation like this. And how many people do you think went to jail because of this? Take a guess. Take a
I'm gonna
guess.
say
A
100.
round number.
A hundred.
I'll
I'm
go
gonna
with a
I'm gonna
round number.
100.
Yeah. How about 0? Okay. So
Oh
anyway,
my God.
you asked me about the gulag. That's the gulag. And
Has
I
anybody
gotta
been held accountable for the
no, and I'll
torturous
never,
conditions in
not
the
at all.
not
I
the Bureau of Prisons director, not the head of the DC
no,
jail, not the head of the
I'm saying
guards union? Tell me the
and
people have been held accountable.
I'll tell you something else. I would get J6ers out of the gulag after this. Years later, by the way, this happened in 2021. As
Yeah.
late as November and of 2024, I had a guy who was still in the gulag, and I would email, and this happened every time. It was the same playbook, but I would email and I would say to the prosecutors, "How could you have him there? Get him out now!" And they would silence, and I would write them emails, which one day I'll share, which
Wow.
said, "You are the reason that the Holocaust happened."
Yeah, that's not an
I said
exaggeration.
I said,
Yeah.
"You are the kind of people that are will allow a Holocaust. You are Nazis." And I have
Yeah.
these emails. There were no response, no response. We get to court. I would say, "Your Honor, I know it's exactly going to happen. I've been saying for a month that they need to get him out of there and filing motions. We're here now in court. They're going to bring some official from the jail to come up, not under oath, and just tell you, Your Honor, um, everything, I don't we'll have to look into it." And then mysteriously and you'll adjourn it for today, and then he'll be moved tomorrow.
Did he think
And
you
that's
were
exactly what
Kreskin
happened.
predicting the future? Did he think you
And
were the amazing Kreskin?
and then they would say, "Oh, Agent Smith, do you wanna talk about this?" "Oh, yeah, Your Honor, we're not aware of these allegations, but we'll let you know." Then the next day, boom, the guy'd be moved. So I was able to get people out of the Gulag. The Gulag was the only prison on, January 20th at night when President Trump gave the executive order to let everybody out. The Gulag was the only one that didn't let them out until, like, 5 days later. They're like, "Oh, there's a mix-up with the paperwork." And it was I it was ridiculous.
What was the
Uh,
average length of time that untried people stayed in the Gulag?
There were people untried in the Gulag until the last day, I think. I
4
mean, there
years,
was
right?
Four
yeah,
years,
I mean, there were
Jonathan?
people who were I don't know if anybody was there for 4 years
No, no, no.
pre-trial, but Jake Lang was probably the number 1. And by the way, it's not only the Gulag, they would do what's called diesel therapy. Enrique Tarrio was moved 40 times, over
Right.
40 times. He has a spreadsheet. He told me he made like an Indiana Jones type map using AI, which shows him like tracking all over the country. They should make a board game out of
Well,
it.
that's what
I mean,
Con Air was about. They were doing that
yeah,
for years. They would move prisoners, federal prisoners around the country using
just to
their
gin
own.
up just to gin up the contracts or something and make money?
Oh,
No,
they
to
do it now. They
actually
do
they
it
get
now.
them
It's
to
not
they get
just
them to
federal.
squeal, to get them to
Yeah.
rat other people out, to hide them from authorities. Multiple reasons that they used Con Air.
Yeah. It's
All
horrible.
right. So
So
how did
and
I
yeah,
just want to show this clip from this morning that Eric was just queuing up
okay.
from Halpern this morning.
I hope that's true. Yeah. Uh, it's hard for either side to turn down the temperature because they feel aggrieved by the recent past and they feel emotional about it. And I can't believe how much time some of you spend on X and elsewhere being angry about what you consider false equivalency on the left and the right. Okay. There's no equivalent to 3 assassination attempts against Donald Trump for recent Democratic presidents. There's no equivalent for Charlie Kirk's assassination on the left. There's no
He would have been good if he stopped there. But
Right, right.
equivalent for January 6th or the pardoning of the January 6th people convicted for
Okay, he not only
No equivalent.
he not only could not find anything to balance that out, he had to go to the pardoning of J6ers as if that had any connection in any galaxy to the assassination attempts on Trump and the assassination success of killing Charlie Kirk. That's how far this guy had to go up his own rectum to find an equivalent idea.
And that clip explains exactly why they did January 6th, because
Right.
they needed a narrative to say that whatever the left does, they can murder us and assassinate people, whatever. But we did January 6th, and that was worse than the Holocaust.
Right.
So
Everybody knows it
that's
was worse than the Holocaust. In fact, the J6 movie, I think Liam Neeson is going to be in it and a bunch of other people. Emmis, listen to me. Listen to me. Sean Penn is making
Oh,
a
God.
J6 dramatic film, not a documentary. Sean Penn is in the works making a film from reliable sources I have.
Yeah, I can't even understand what they're going to put Jacob Chansley with the horns, and they're going to make him. He's
The horn guy is
why-
being played by Liam Neeson.
No, that would be sympathetic character. Liam Neeson will play like some
Well,
trying
he's
to be
playing
cross-
against type.
they'll get-
He's playing
they want to
against
get
type.
like they need to do like what's his name, Kevin Costner, to be the attorney who's determined to get these J6ers despite all of the opposition by the courts and nobody.
Well, that would be Jack Smith. Kevin Costner is Jack Smith.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so how did
like-
you get out of this mess and get into the DOJ? How did that happen?
DOJ. That's so. Let me.
We're
What
getting going
happened was, I'll tell you how I got
chronologically.
into the DOJ.
How
The
did
two
you
people
become
got-
a member of the DOJ, and what
I
the hell
don't
is
know
going on there?
exactly. I'm a look. I'm a very loud guy. It's ultimately only the will of heaven that I got into the DOJ because it doesn't make any sense. I don't have the profile. I didn't go to Harvard or Yale. I'm a
Right.
second career. I never worked for a big white shoe law firm. I'm not, I've everything I've done is pretty much on my own. So I didn't have any institutional connections of any kind. However, I became very good friends and still am, I want to say, with Marjorie Taylor Greene. And she was in favor during the transition period. Everybody loved her then.
Right.
And every time Trump would appoint a person or nominate somebody for some kind of position of any kind, Marjorie would meet that person and then put me in a chat with them and
It's funny.
tell that person, like, this is the most amazing lawyer. You have to put him in DOJ. You have to. She was like a maniac around saying that I had to get in, and I'm very grateful to her for that. And there was another individual who is also a great American who was also slandered, by the way, as being an anti-Semite. His name is Paul Ingracia, and he's not an anti-Semite at all. He's a wonderful guy, and he was in PPO, and he was a friend of mine. Also through J6, he was very sympathetic to that, and he kind of, I think, pushed me through a lot as well. So somehow I got in.
And what did you do when you got in there, other than redecorate?
I just yelled. I went from office to office. I'm not exaggerating. I went from office to office, knocking on doors, yelling like I'm yelling now, and saying, "Do you know about J6? Do you know what happened?"
Well, do they know about it now, or
Oh, did they ever? There's no plausible deniability.
right
that
on,
everybody in
right
that building-
on? Wow, wow. Okay, so that was your main theme, was J6.
It wasn't just J6. By the way, it
Okay,
wasn't
tell me
just
what
J6.
else did you get involved
I
in?
wanted to get to the bottom of J6, and I also wanted to get to the bottom of all of this business
Yeah.
because there's tons of people. There's weaponization going on right now.
Wow.
Right now,
Wow.
under Todd Blanche's thing, the same kind of tactics because it's all the same people. And I'm going to give you an example that I speak about a lot.
Go
These
ahead.
are the kind of cases that I bring forward. So there was a lot of outrage on X in the summer of 2025 when I was in DOJ because there was a guy named Kirk Moore, a doctor in Utah, who helped like thousands of people get a vaccine card without taking the vaccine.
Mm.
So somebody squealed on Dr. Moore, and the Biden administration arrested him and prosecuted him for 2 years. And this man was a hero. I mean, he was a hero, and they prosecuted him. Anyway, the prosecution continued.
Mm.
It continued
Mm.
all the way through the Trump presidency, and he was on trial in July of 2025. So Trump has been president now for 7 months, and the
Wow.
trial is going on in Utah. Federal
Wow.
trial. It was under DOJ. Everybody's screaming about it on X. I mentioned it as well as many other cases like it within DOJ, deaf ears. Then all of a sudden, in the middle of the trial, like halfway through the trial, Pam Bondi tweets out, she was the AG at the time, she tweets out, Marjorie Taylor Greene just brought the case of Kirk Moore to my attention,
Mm.
and she's a warrior for weaponization. This must end now. I'm dropping all the charges. And they dropped all
Wow.
the charges. Guy went home. Now,
Wow.
mind you, the guy's life was destroyed. 2 years
Yeah.
of hell. If
Yeah.
you've never been through it, 2 years of hell. His license was at stake. His business, his employees, his family, his health, everything. Right. But okay, fine. He doesn't have to go to prison now. He was facing 35 years in prison. 35 years. So that's gone. But this is the problem. What about the prosecutor who did that?
Yeah.
His
What
name
about
is
him?
His name is Todd Boughton. Bouton. He went to Harvard, by the way. I didn't.
Right,
He went to Harvard. So I looked into his other cases that didn't make it to Twitter. Okay, that didn't make it to X. There's a guy named Nicholas Cioto. I've never met him. He is, I think, in jail right now. If he's not, he's been released
What,
and he's under
is
3
Todd
years.
Boughton? Is Todd Boughton still in the DOJ?
Yes.
Okay, I
Yes.
just want to point that out to the audience.
I was
ahead.
going to say that Todd Boughton is still there. I looked at his other cases. There's another case, a guy named Nick Cioto that nobody mentioned on social media, who was his thing. He made these very good fake vaccination cards for people, and he was selling them for a profit of like $3 a piece.
I just want to say
Guess what?
I bought some in China and was doing the same thing. But go on. They looked exactly alike. Go on.
Don't say it. Nick Cioto is still in jail for doing that. That's what I'm
I
saying.
never did what I just said. I just made
Okay,
that up.
good. Good, because don't let Todd Boughton hear you.
Todd Boughton,
If he
I
does,
never did that, Todd Boughton.
Todd Boughton's still with the J. Nick Cioto is still in prison. That guy's in prison for selling fake vaccine cards.
Wow.
And
I didn't sell them, though. I gave them out.
It's part of a National
what?
Lampoon cutout, okay? Let's just be honest.
So I'm just saying is that, like, what's going on? Why are the same prosecutors who did all the stuff that by the way, that's just egregious cases. How about every
Yeah.
prosecutor who did what's called a trial penalty, where they said to you, you better plea, because if you don't plead to this for 1 year, I'm going to slap on some bogus garbage thing for 20 years or worse. Oh, you're not going to plead? Well, guess what? Your wife, she worked for the business also,
Mm.
secretary, and hate to make her a co-conspirator.
They always go
Children
after
will
the
be lost.
wives or adult children, don't they?
Yes, yeah, all the time. It happens routinely.
Right.
So, and every American knows that. I mean, every American who's paying
Not
attention
every
knows it.
American, but they
Yeah,
should.
every American who's paying attention understands that. But but when I talk to Americans, my wife and I she jokes we're only invited to dinner parties once.
I like
Because
that.
I,
I like that.
I like to I talk, but I'm saying when I talk to people, they don't care. It's because, well, guess what? It never happened to them. But the
Right.
people that talk to me, who come to me, who are the victims of weaponization, like they understand what it is. But
Well,
unfortunately, it's too late.
came for the Jews, but I wasn't Jewish, so I didn't do anything.
I say that all the time. That's
No,
exactly right.
really?
I do.
Was
I've
the
heard that
first they
reference. That
came.
reference I know.
Okay, so let me ask something. Does the top of the DOJ have any control about what's going on the bottom?
1,000,000,000% for sure they do. They can get rid of all of this with the stroke of a pen. The same way
Right.
that Pam Bondi, with the stroke of a pen, dropped the case on.
So what is the problem of controlling this organization?
Todd Blanche was the deputy. If you look at the org chart, it
Yeah.
goes all of DOJ, the deputy, then the AG. So everything while Pam Bondi was there filtered through Todd Blanche. And Pam Bondi, from my understanding, didn't even move to DC. I didn't see her around the building that much.
Wow.
But whatever. Todd Blanche has been running this show the whole time, right?
Right.
So who is Todd Blanche? Todd Blanche, think about this.
It's a lifelong Democrat, right?
He was a lifelong Democrat. He saw the light in 2024. I'm wondering who he voted for.
I think a
in
little later than that,
2020.
Jonathan. I think a little later than that. I
Still
think it was
pending.
December 31st, 2025.
Still pending.
Yeah, still
But
pending.
listen to this. He was a federal prosecutor in the Southern District of New York, which is the worst
God.
leftist lawfare,
That's right.
whatever
That's
place.
right.
Guess he was there for 10 years. all of the years of Obama.
Right.
All of the years of Obama.
And also,
So
also working with Weiss, one of the most egregious prosecutors.
he was there when SDNY prosecuted Dinesh D'Souza.
Yes,
Do you know about that prosecution?
of course,
Dinesh wrote about it in his book.
of
Basically,
course.
some nonsense crime that obviously they did
He
because
donated $50 to a candidate.
like
But
50 bucks, right? Exactly. And he did it because whatever it was. Yeah, exactly. Very good. And so what happened was, and they did it because he made a movie about Obama that
right,
Obama didn't
right. It
like.
was
Right?
obviously tit for tat. I mean, it was obviously
Obviously. So
retribution.
Todd Blanche is sitting there in SDNY as a senior prosecutor when that happened. Now I ask you, one of two things. Either he was totally oblivious to this high profile case that's
Hey,
going on in the office next door,
right.
or he knew about it and didn't care. Okay. Either one of those things disqualifies him from being AG. Then it gets worse, though. He leaves and he goes to Wilmer Hale. Okay. You know what Wilmer
Isn't
Hale
that a
is?
white shoe firm?
It's a white shoe firm. He was a partner there because when you're a federal prosecutor,
What
you
do you
get to
become
be
a partner the day you sign up or
of
something?
of course you do, because all of high stakes, white collar, weaponized criminal defense is lobbying. You
Yes.
hire the firm that has the former federal prosecutors who are friends with the people who are currently indicting you. They have lunch together and then they work it out. But if you just I'll Google it myself.
Go ahead.
If you Google um, Wilmer Hale executive order. I want to read you what President Trump wrote about Wilmer Hale in an executive order on March 27th, 2025, right before Todd Blanche joined.
Yeah.
Basically, um, my administration is committed to addressing the significant risks associated with law firms, particularly so-called, quote, big law firms engaged in conduct detrimental to critical American interests. Okay. Now
Yeah.
I'm going to go down to the skip down, right? Lawyers and law firms that engage in such egregious conduct should not have access to our nation's secrets, nor should such conduct be subsidized by federal taxpayer funds or contracts. Wilmer Hale is yet another law firm. This is written by the I got one of these things I can't read. No, get rid of this. Come on. What is going on? Stupid White House website.
Okay,
They
but
put like
this
an
is
ad in
written
front
by
of it.
the White.
The
This
point
is
is that
the White House put this
this
out.
White House, yeah. So the White House puts this thing out, and basically they say that they're engaged in obstructing efforts to prevent illegal immigration that led to crimes and trafficking deadly drugs within our borders and the casualty of American citizens. And they also discriminates based on race, and they were involved in all kinds of election interference. And all of this was in President Trump's executive order on Wilmer Hale. Anybody could look it up. It's outrageous. So uh, that's so he worked for Wilmer Hale. That was his
Well,
job, and he was a partner there.
did when he hired Blanche? Did he hire him as an independent counsel,
No,
independent
he hired
lawyer?
him because at the time he was with a firm called Cadwalder. Cadwalder was another firm that was
Right,
just like Wilmer Hale, and
right.
they didn't get the executive order written against them because after Wilmer Hale and a couple others got it, a couple other law firms, including Cadwalder, if I'm not mistaken, they settled with President Trump and they said, "Okay, we'll behave, we'll behave."
Right,
But the
right,
point is,
right.
he
He
worked for
worked
these
for both
left
of them.
wing,
He worked for
he
both.
worked for two left wing, crazy law
Well,
firms, big white
every
shoe law
friend
firms.
he has in the universe is a Democrat based on his own
Sure.
lifestyle.
Wait, I'm wondering if he ever
Every
met a
phone number
Republican
in
before
his
President
book
Trump.
is a Democratic phone number.
Yeah,
How did this guy get this job?
I don't know. So I saw somebody was touting he's like, he put everything on the line to represent President Trump. I'm like, oh, really? Did he do that
Really?
pro bono?
Yeah, he did it pro bono, and
And
Trump
not
never
only
paid
that,
the bill. And the 95 indictment shows you a success story
I was going
that
to
no
say,
man could
yeah,
possibly achieve.
he was 0 for 39.
Oh for
0 for
39,
39.
he's one of the
I
greatest lawyers of all time.
If he had hired me, I can guarantee that if I couldn't have done better, at least it would have been a lot cheaper. But
Right,
President Trump, so how did this guy get appointed deputy attorney general? And now people are, and notice nothing happens for a year and a half. When
right.
he's in charge de facto,
He
Pam Bondi
cock-blocked
leaves,
every
and all of
single
a
thing for
sudden,
a year.
at one point,
Now he's gonna make some noise and do nothing for the next 3 years.
Well, no, he's drawing attention for
exactly,
Comey. He's
No,
got
no,
the
but I'm
Comey
saying he's
arrest.
gonna make
exactly.
some phony noise
He'll make
on
some noise. Let me give you an
right,
example.
right. He's
Everybody
gonna
was like,
throw some
oh, he
names
went
out
after the
there.
He went after the SPLC, right? You all heard that. Oh, it's great, the
Right.
SPLC.
Right.
Read the indictment.
I did.
Indictment
I did.
is
Oh, he's frozen up. Look, they got
Yeah,
him
he
with
is.
that indictment.
It
As soon
sounds
as he
like
said it, SPLC, he was frozen. I don't
yeah,
know what
Nate,
he's gonna.
I don't know
I
what
don't
he
know what he was gonna say, but the reality of it is, the indictment does not have a person's
Oh,
name on
can
it.
you hear me?
Oh, he's back. Go ahead.
there he is.
Yeah, nobody's listed except for the SPLC,
That's what I
and
just
the
said.
di
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I
yeah,
just said the
and
same thing.
basically, if there's a
Who's on
trial,
trial? Tell the
who
tell the
sits in the
people
chair?
who's
Okay,
gonna sit in the
so
chair.
the
Who I said
SPLC,
it the day it happened, who's
Let him
gonna go
go.
to jail? Go ahead.
according to the indictment, the SPC is up for, you ready for this? The maximum they can get 320 years in prison. 320 years. Those corporate documents will sit in a jail cell, right?
Right.
And we'll all be
Maybe
safe.
in the
I
gulag.
guarantee,
Maybe there will be no food or
maybe the
water. He'll
Gulag.
be sitting in that
Right.
smelly jail cell.
I guarantee you, a week before, the SPLC is completely looted. If you went to the building
Absolutely.
right now, there's nothing. There's
There's
like an
nothing.
empty warehouse.
You can only thank Todd Blanche for that.
If there's
And
any money in the bank, it's gonna go to criminal defense attorneys who are gonna just churn the money. They've probably already billed $1 million. It's all going out the window. And then it'll declare bankruptcy. So the
yeah,
trustee will be
yep,
Sullivan and Cromwell. And then
yep.
Sullivan and Cromwell get $1 billion for the everything.
Well, it's going to
And
go to
it
the
all
ACLU and other NGOs. They're going to split up the money.
No, you
Go ahead,
missed
Eric.
one.
Go ahead.
They're gonna raise money on being persecuted by the rampant, king in the White House.
Well,
right.
I think even that money will be diverted because
It's
there's
just
people
gonna
waiting
go and it's gonna
for the
funnel.
ACLU. Yeah,
It's just a bunch of lawyers who are making all the
you know,
money.
as soon as I read that indictment, I thought the same thing. There's
I
nobody's name on the top of the.
I told people are like, well, they're gonna seize all the assets. I'm like, listen, buddy, you're not getting that money. You're like, it's not like we're all gonna get a check.
I'll tell you something. I remember when the Scientology seized the assets of the Cult Awareness Network, which was run by a bunch of Orthodox Jews, by the way, who simply answered the phone and said Cult Awareness Network and would direct you with information in New York where to go about your complaint. They sued the Cult Awareness Network that didn't have any pockets at all. So they ended up with their files and the office and the phones. So when you called the Cult Awareness Network after the lawsuit, Scientology answered the phone and said, "Cult Awareness Network, how can I help you?" And
Well, that's
That's
the
so,
strategy of the Onion and InfoWars potentially.
yeah.
of course, it's everything. It's all a
All
grift,
right. So
and we're all losing.
now let's move to chapter 7 in your story. You're in private practice. You started a new private practice.
I'm back in private practice. JonathanGrossLaw.com. Check it out.
Where are you? In Maryland or some godforsaken?
I'm in Baltimore, but I practice all over the country. I fight
Right,
weaponization wherever I find it.
right
I
on.
fight the evil government.
Right.
So
Now, where can we find you? Is there a Twitter handle or a
Jon
logo, or where do we find you if we have legal?
JON_GROSS.
Okay. And is there a website where they can come to you with their documents?
Jonathan Gross Law at JonathanGrosslaw.com. That's it.
Okay, and that's an easy handle to find. Okay, if you people have documents, whistleblowers, complaints about the backdrop of his phony books, anything that you have going on here, you can contact Jonathan Gross, who we're going to have back in a little while, in a couple of weeks, maybe next month, to talk about some updates on where we are. Jonathan, again, thanks for coming by. You're a mensch and a maven, and I can only recommend the movie. What was it? The Cisco Kid with
Yeah, the
the
Frisco Kid.
the Frisco Kid, not the Cisco Kid. The Frisco Kid, which is a similar story to Jonathan Gross's. It's actually a biopic about his life, uh, uh, played played by somebody who was exactly like him. Jonathan, thanks for coming by and explaining this entire mess to us. Thank you.
Thanks for
Thank you,
having me.
sir.
Okay, boy.